believe it! I cannot believe it!
Yeah, that was the moment that I just won my first Bretonian jousting tournament as an orc. I didn't even realize you could do it as an orc. And right before this, I even had a funnier moment. Ooh. Wait, what just hit me? Yep, it's official. A magical floating lance and shield just attacked me. Or so I thought until I realized there was a tiny goblin behind those oversized weapons and we were about to fight. Round 2.
Round 2. Fight.
Well, unfortunately for him, I was ready this time. Also, sorry about the blinding sound. And a gobbo no more. Apologies for my voice sounding different throughout that video. I am using a new editing system, but I got it figured out and the rest of the video will sound fine. That being said, if you do like my content, please give a like and subscribe. As always, I'm Dimoff, this is my best friend Titus, and welcome to Dimoff Gaming. Alright, let's get into it. Funny enough, I was actually in the middle of recording another video when I ended up jousting on accident. I didn't realize I had captured a Bretonian city. This one to be exact. That's right, the city that's under attack by an army that consists of about 99% black orcs. And if you don't know anything about orcs, that's about as big and bad as they come. On the other hand, my army consisted of mostly orc choppas, some black orcs, and a ton of gobbos. So I'm sure you can guess how that fight is going to go, but we're not here to talk about that. After jousting and having a really funny time jousting a goblin, I figured it wouldn't be fair unless I showed you guys what actual jousting looks like with the Bretonian. And so I went out of my way to make a whole new character. Also, look at how incredible this background is for this game. And why is this second dwarf so sad? If there was an 8th dwarf, I think we would call him Mopey. Alrighty, moving on. Let's get into the character creation. Also, another beautiful background that they have in this game. They have tons of them. To start things off, we're going to be picking your character's culture. And I do apologize beforehand because I know I will butcher many of the names. But to start us off, we have the Empire of Man, followed by Bretonia, Vampire Counts, Musalon, Azurai, Eonir, the Dawe, and the Greenskins. That being said, there may be multiple choices, but we're just going to pick between Musalon and Bretonia because they're the only ones that start off with jousting. After messing around with character creation for some time and making sure he looks as Bretonian as possible, the next step was to make sure that everything he did in his childhood resulted in him being really good at riding horses and a knight. This was going to give me the best odds at winning a jousting tournament, but I am still level 1 everything, so my character is going to have a hard time doing this. Also, I have no armor. So now it was time to finally pick my family name, and I had a hard time with this because I wasn't sure. Are the Bretonians British or are they French? I mean, they do go oh, and eat croissants a lot of the time, but they also eat baked beans on toast, so I'm not fully sure. I ended up deciding to look it up, and would you look at that? Turns out they're both influenced by French and British ideas, meaning they must put their baked beans on their croissants. Okay, they don't do that, but I will say this because I am Canadian. Sorry, bud. I also wanted to try to find a British/French surname, but at the same time, I feel like I've already done enough damage and don't need to do any more by butchering your last names. In the end, we went with last name Fredington, first name Frederick. And all that was left to do was to decide some of the game settings and then enter the world. Our little friend Frederick here was all alone, but that doesn't matter when you're trying to win a jousting tournament. You just need yourself. And a lot of money, but we don't have that, so we're going in with peasant gear. Unfortunately, we arrived at our first city at nighttime, and tournaments don't happen at nighttime, so we had to wait. Once the sun rose, we found out that there is not a tournament going on in the city, but we were able to enter the arena and talk to the tournament master because he can tell you about local tournaments going on in other cities. And he showed me these 2 locations, which I quickly marked down on my map. Afterwards, I was ready to get out of there and set out on my adventure, but I kind of noticed something a little weird. The guys were actually fighting on the side. See, instead of actually entering a tournament, you can actually do practice tournaments. But I don't know what fighting with a sword would have to do with helping you practice with jousting. Either way, it was time to begin my glorious adventure. I was taken captive by Norscan raiders within about 2 seconds. But thankfully, about after 1 day, I was able to escape and run to Chantillon, if that's how you pronounce it. Once the sun rose, I was delighted to see that there was in fact a tournament here and joined without hesitation. It was finally time for Sir Frederick Fredington to prove himself, but I wanted to watch a match first, and let me tell you, this is not what I expected. Don't worry, by round 2 they actually figured it out. See? This was actually proving to be a pretty good fight all the way up until about well, there. Yep, red team won. That being said, teams don't actually matter in this. Now that we got the gist of things, it was finally Sir Frederick Freddington's turn. And we're off. Gonna have to work on my accuracy if I want the next turn to go better. Ooh, took some damage. Come on, here we go, final one. There we go, that's how we do it. Frederick had now won his first round, but we had 3 more to go if we wanted to win the tournament.
Round 2, fight.
It started off looking pretty well, but he quickly put up his shield and blocked it. That being said, on the second go around, headshot. At this point I was feeling pretty confident and decided that it was time to start betting on myself. Now it was time for round 3, but I quickly realized I holstered my lance wrong and had to run away. Unfortunately, my opponent took this opportunity and took out half my health. But we weren't going to give up here, and we were all set up for the next hit. Boom. I was feeling pretty good at this point, and things were looking positive until I realized who my next opponent was. You see, if they have a name, chances are they probably have a lot of money, meaning armor, and are most likely a very good knight. But of course, that's not going to stop us from trying, right? So we went into our final round with our head held high. Unfortunately, my horse felt the same energy and held his head too high. So do we all remember that moment when I was wondering why people were practicing fighting and thought it would have nothing to do with jousting? I don't know what fighting with a sword would have to do with helping you practice with jousting. Yeah, me too. Well, now poor Frederick had no choice but to fight a man wearing full knight armor. But I had one advantage on my side. He can't see in his armor, and that's pretty clear right away. Until he actually finally figured out where I was, and well, it quickly went south. But Frederick wasn't going down without a fight. Unfortunately, mentality does not beat reality. And this was the end of Sir Frederick Freddington's life. But hey, it was a damn good one. At least while it lasted. I'm sorry Frederick's story didn't end as we were hoping, but thank you again for watching, and if you did like my content, please give a like and subscribe. It'll help me continue to grow this channel and keep making my work. Thanks again.